¿Se me oye? Sí, bastante bien. Bueno, vamos sentándonos.
So please take your seats. And well, sorry for this delay, but we all know that often in this kind of events it's difficult to get started. So, without further ado, the organizing committee of the conference would like to welcome you to this first international conference or Congress of La Desbandada, a century of popular fights, struggles. So, yesterday it was the 100th anniversary of the black route that suffered from Italian fascism. And this is precisely what we are talking about right now, about the struggle, anti-fascist struggle. So I'd like to welcome the representatives of the institutions that collaborate with us and support us in this event, and also in other activities that we've been organizing for 7 years already. So the Secretariat of State of the Agenda 2030, the Secretariat of State of Historical Memory, the Direction of Women's Institute, the European Left Party, the Community of Municipalities in La Axarquia, the Mayor of Mollina, and the managers of the CEULAC, which are the facilities where we are organizing this conference.
Y cómo no puede ser de otra manera, porque
Of course, we want to pay a tribute to the survivors of La Desbandada, Ana Pomarez, Manuel Triano,
y a las hijas en este caso,
and to the daughters of the exile from Spain, from the war. Just a minute, I want to say this name correctly. Ani González de Haro, Anastasia Charcos, and the granddaughter of the last president of the government of the Second Republic, Carmen Negrín.
queremos seguir agradeciendo.
We would like to thank and welcome the other organizers, the members of the scientific committee, and its chair, here President, and also all researchers and historians who have made it possible to organize this Congress and organize the content of it. Also searching for more truth about La Desbandada to find out what happened during the month of February of the year 1937. So in the context of the war, we would like to welcome also all the speakers who are going to talk about the Spanish War. And also during the meeting on Sunday, the European anti-fascist meeting, and we would like to welcome all the organizations that are here to create this network, this anti-fascist European network. And also, I'd like to welcome you all, the participants who are, of course, essential in this Congress.
Lo tengo en mente, por supuesto, desde el minuto, desde que empezamos.
Well, we started working 2 years ago, and I'd like to acknowledge the extraordinary work and very important work that has been carried out by the organizing committee. And I need to refer to them one by one, because all of us, we've been working very hard. It's been a lot of effort, and we've managed to come all the way to this Congress. It's been an extraordinary effort, and this is the beginning of the opening up of the truth that will be revealed during these 3 days of Congress. So I'd like to thank Pita, Lola, Paco Pepe, particularly for his efforts in coordination of the Secretariat, Maria Antonio, Ángeles, Isidoro, María José, Rodri, Luis Cano, Gregorio. And I don't know if I'm forgetting anyone, but in any case, all the members of this team, we've worked very much. We've been working very hard, and we thought it was absolutely necessary for the memory of this country. Because after 85 years, we've ignored this. All this has been forgotten, and we need to recover the dignity of those people who died for freedom and for democracy and for us. Thank you to all of you for being here. Now, the institutional representatives who are here will address a few words to us very briefly, because we are already a bit delayed. So Fernando Martinez will also arrive in soon, and he will also take the floor. So we will give the floor to the mayor of Mollina, Eugenio Sevillano, who is going to welcome us to this municipality.
Muchas gracias, Rafael. Bueno, en primer lugar, daros la bienvenida.
Thank you very much, Rafael. I'd like to welcome you all to the municipality of Mollina, and thank you for coming to this first International Congress of La Desbandada, this anti-fascist Congress. And for me, as the mayor of this village, a village that also suffered from repression during the Civil War, I must say that I'm very proud to hold that this Congress is being held here in our village. I hope that you will enjoy these 3 days that you will spend with us. I hope the presentations will be interesting to you all. And I just said, for our village, we are very privileged to hold this Congress here. Thank you very much.
A continuación,
Now, the president of the scientific committee, Luis Naranjo, is going to talk to us about the work that has been carried out during these 2 years. So, good morning, first of all. Well, the scientific committee would like to thank you for being here. That's the very first thing to do. Of course, the Congress is composed of all of you here now, the participants. I'd like to briefly refer to the goals the scientific committee considered and the dimensions related to the scientific excellence, so that the state of knowledge on La Desbandada becomes a reference for anti-fascism and a reference of the struggle of the Andalusian and the Spanish people for freedom and for the Second Republic, and also have a transnational European and world dimension, because it was the first atrocity that was perpetuated against civilians and then was announcing what would later be done in Nazis camps. I think I'd like to highlight that the speakers are extraordinary, absolutely excellent, and I would like to highlight also the social dimension, because this is a struggle for memory, something that is absolutely essential for us today. So this is something that has defined also the organization of the roundtables and the presentations. It is a very complex topic, and we needed to add different perspectives, so we wanted to incorporate everything. Another important dimension for us in a cross-cutting way, and that for us was crucial, was the gender dimension, so the role of women, not only during the flight and the actual attack that was a crime, a war crime, but also what happened later on, the continuation of the struggle in the war and the role of women there. So we wanted to discuss this as a key topic in the different presentations, and also the transnational dimension, so to understand the anti-fascist element here in the memory is an element that is key in Europe. Europe may not be understood without a political and human dimension that is in the lines of anti-fascism, and this transnational dimension has also been key for us in the organization of the presentations. I hope you will enjoy the different interventions. Also, we want you to participate, because the speakers are very important, but also there are communicative or communication spaces for all of us to comment, intervene, and contribute with ideas during the 3 days. And we would like everyone to participate, and we really hope that this is just another step towards the victory against fascism that is still alive in Europe and in Spain.
A continuación, queremos que
now, sorry. Here's Heinz Bierbaum, the president of the European Left Party. Well, this is an organization that has been collaborating with us in all of our activities, the meetings, the tracking activities and everything, and we would like to invite him to address a few words to all of us today.
Muchas gracias por ser invitado al primero Congreso Internacional.
Well, thank you very much for having invited me to this first International Congress of La Desbandada. This is an extremely important event. For many years, we've been paying tribute to the crimes committed by fascists during the Spanish War. And this is very important. The global and current situation is very worrying. There are high tensions and military conflicts. The war in Ukraine that has been caused by Russia's invasion is having drastic consequences in economic and social terms, and this is contributed to a greater crisis. And the war must come to an end. We do not forget other wars and military conflicts in Yemen, in Palestine, Ethiopia, Cyprus, in the regions with the Kurds, the sub-Saharan region, and of course our party condemns the Russian invasion, but it is also true that this war is also an instrument of the war for hegemony in the world, for power. So we've suffered the pandemic and now the war. Both are turning the current crisis into a deeper crisis. We are facing inflation, energy and food prices are going up. These very high prices are an effect of the war, but they are also caused by the deregulation of the energy market. The high energy prices will generate very serious economic and social problems, and they are pushing European economy towards recession, and they are deepening social inequalities. The left and progressive powers are not obtaining a benefit from this, but the extreme right, the far right. We've seen so in Italy, in France, in the recent elections, and also in Germany we can see that, where the far right is achieving powerful positions. All over Europe and also in the world we see the rise of the far right, nationalism and racism are growing. It's very important. We've seen that some parties are collaborating with far-right parties, like in Italy, in the government, and also in Spain we see that the Popular Party is cooperating with Vox, a racist and far-right party. But there's also a lot of resistance. The European Left Party is committed with the struggle against the far right and all forms of racism. The European Left Party condemns inhuman treatment of refugees and immigrants and supports social solidarity movements to support these people. And the party is committed to a human migratory policy. We are committed also with the poor people and oppressed people. It is a democratic duty to fight against the far right and racism. The European Left Party fights for a society that will be more social, more fair, more peaceful, and based on solidarity. This is why radical change is required in politics. We need different politics that will be focused on current crisis, but also with a long-term vision for a transformation of the economy towards public, social, and environmental goals. Our party demands a radical change in policies and politics in order to open a new path for the development of society with people in the core of what it does. The struggle against the far right is an essential part of this politics. Taking into account the world situation, this struggle is now extremely necessary, more than ever. And in this context, the International Congress of La Desbandada is highly important. It's a significant pillar in the struggle against the rise of fascism and the far right, and I hope that this Congress will be very successful. Thank you very much.
Seguidamente nos va a dirigir la palabra, unas palabras.
Now we have Juan Peñas, which is the Vice Chair of the Federation of Municipalities Western Axarquia, which is considered one of the institutions that has supported our project since the very beginning. So we consider they have to be here today with us because they are important to our struggle in favor of the memory.
Bueno, pues buenos días a todas.
Good morning, everyone. It is a great pleasure for me to be here, to have this opportunity to share this event with you all as an homage to the road massacre of Malaga to Almería. I represent here a federation of municipalities, La Axarquia, which is a territory that was absolutely devastated because it goes through the road. And we do have a memorial park that was built during the last 20 years. And we never stop organizing events, memory actions, acknowledgement events, because many children, many people suffered so much because of the bombings of the fascists that attacked us from the sea. So we do believe that this episode must not fall must not be forgotten, and we do need also to demand reparation for the victims. I won't take much longer. I just want to thank you all for your attention. Thank you very much.
A continuación, Antonia.
Now we have Antonia Morillas, which is the director of the Women's Institute in the government from the government of Spain. We have opened a line of collaboration for the organization of this conference and also for the organization of the 7th March that would take place in February next year. And that is going to be especially dedicated to women as an homage to Pil de Landa. And we're going to have this intervention from Antonia Morillas.
Bueno, pues buenos días.
Good morning. This is very touching to be here, very exciting to be here in the Theulag again. We used to come a lot here when we were younger to discuss about youth problems and challenges of the students' movement. So it's a pleasure to be here. And it's very nice to see such a great number of fighters here in the audience, fighters for the memory of what happened in our country. I want to congratulate you all for the organization of this first international conference. Today, La Desbandada, the road massacre, is an historical event, an historical episode that is in the press and that has recognition, general recognition from the public. We do celebrate the march every year, the tribute march, and we do the whole journey through the road that was object of this genocide, this attack. And if society knows about this genocide, it is thanks to the work of the memory movement in Andalusia. La Desbandada was silenced and forgotten during many decades because of a democracy that was built on foundations of silence. So thank you and congratulations to the Andalusian memory movement, because they are the real authors, the real responsibles for the desbandada to be known by the general public. This is a space for anti-fascist struggles. This is a context that is really emotional. We are in a moment, in a very critical moment in terms of political positionings. We are very close to fascism in many policies. We have deep neoliberal policies that are succeeding in Italy, for instance, and in many other places. So these struggles are very, very necessary now. We have a context with many working families that live a very critical situation in terms of security, and we need to propose solutions for this crisis, this multiple crisis. And feminism and anti-fascism are two very important pillars in these solutions to the multiple crises. We need to create a new social contract that will give opportunities to these working families that are suffering so much. And we have to avoid an authoritarian solution that would keep pushing for these patriarchal values, such as the family and other ideologies. And we also need to apply an historical approach in order to incorporate the gender perspective. We have to make demands, but we also have to celebrate the progress we have made, thanks to the memory movement and thanks to the civil society and thanks to our coalition government that finally, after many decades working for it, have made possible the adoption of a memory law. And this is our main instrument, the tool that is going to allow all the institutions to go back to the legal framework and to the memory framework. We are now seeing some of the first impacts of this law with all the demands of the government that want the remains of the criminal Capo de Llano, and we got to get these remains exhumated from the Church of La Macarena. Capo de Llano participated in La Desbandada, and he's probably one of the more emblematic examples of using the fascist propaganda through the radio of Radio Sevilla in order to call the population to rape the anti-fascist, the anarchist, and the communist women. So this was his way of creating terror. So the demand of exhumation of his remains is an act of justice and feminist justice too. As Luis Naranjo just said, it is crucial that this is historiographical narrative of the Desbandada. It has to be free of machism, of male chauvinism, because these women who were in the Desbandada, they suffered because of the patriarchy. And I think we have to make an effort, and I think you are doing it, and you're going to do it for the next year, March, in order to give an important place to women that played a very, very essential role, because they were the most, the main characters of La Desbandada, women, children, and elder people. And we also have to celebrate El Socorro Rojo Internacional with the representative as Tina Morotti, Matilde Rojo. And we all know Norma Betune, but not many people know the leadership of Matilde Landa, who killed herself in the year 1942 as a rebellion act because she won't adopt the Christian religion, and she killed herself in order to avoid doing that. So I know this is going to be a great opportunity for that, because she, just like Juana Doña, Soledad Real, she played a key role in this struggle, and it has to be acknowledged. We have to pay tribute to their memory. And that's why the Women's Institute is supporting this conference, and that's why we're going to support the 2023 March, because we consider that recovering the memory of the anti-fascist fighters, women fighters, is an exercise to include these women in the feminist genealogy of our country. That's why we support this conference and we support the march next year, and that's why we're going to publish a new edition of Dolores Ibarruri's El Nuevo Camino, because she was the first woman to be president of a political party, and that's why we keep on working to reveal the memory of all women that fought against fascism and against the Francoist retaliation. And that's why we're going to be with you in your movement, because we want the anti-fascist women fighters to be included in our history. Thank you.
Sí, tengo que disculpar a...
Yes, Fernando Martinez won't be able to be here. He's the Secretary of State for Historical Memory, and he can't be here with us because of personal reasons. But I have to say that he has always been really supportive to all our initiatives. So it's a pity he can't be here with us today. And now, next, we have Lili Verstrynge. She's the Secretary of State for the 2030 agenda. This secretary is a key player for the organization of this Congress. They have supported us so much. And of course, we are eager to listen to Lili.
Buenos días.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, as a Republican, as a granddaughter of a woman from Malaga, from Ronda, it's my pleasure to be here. Thank you to the Mayor, of course, for your welcoming words, and thank you to all the organizers for inviting me. Congratulations for your work. Thank you, everyone, for being here, and thank you to the Association La Desbandada for their great efforts on disseminating this terrible episode of our history. Thank you to the CEULAG for hosting us, and thank you to the survivors of La Desbandada and to the children of the exile for their never-ending fight. And thank you for demanding reparation also. I believe there are hundreds of reasons that explain the need and the pertinence of this Congress, and I'd like to point out some of them, just some of them. First of all, this is necessary because we are making a collective exercise to recover a part of what we are as a country, a part of our history that the fascism, the Francoism wanted to delete, and they never got to do it completely. So I think this is a success for the Republican struggle and for a success for the efforts of so many, the people who have worked researching and unveiling the crimes that were committed, those who made research and those who shared all this knowledge and information. Secondly, a very important reason we are here to pay tribute to all those who were victims of this massacre, this terrible episode. We are here to say their names and to tell their stories. And we also want to say that we are proud of that legacy. We are proud of the people who opposed, who fought against the coup and against the fascism. And also we are here to acknowledge that we are a little bit late. We are too late, actually. For so long, the victims and their families have worked very hard to keep the memory alive. Sometimes they have made all that alone, and we have to make sure that it never happens again. Democratic memory is a matter of justice, and we have to acknowledge the past, and it helps us identify with our history, and it helps us build our communities and a better future. I want to insist on what Tony just said. The coalition memory is absolutely, the coalition government is absolutely committed to the historical memory. We have worked to declare the nullity of some of the condemnations of fascism. We have created a national bank for victims' DNA, and we are supporting so many other actions and policies related to the memory, to the recovery of the memories. Thank you to the Secretary of State that worked so hard also supporting this action. That's why this government, just like my colleague said, like Camden said, we are going to work so hard to take the genocide, Capo de Llano, out of the Macarena's charge, because we believe that the actions for the memory are very diverse. We also have to do this kind of things and search for the victims and keep on paying tribute to what happened here between Malaga and Almeria. These people, they didn't have a chance to flight. They were just annihilated. So when we think about this kind of episodes in our history, we realize how serious, how dramatic things can get. Sometimes these episodes seem to be so far of us, but these were people, children, elder people, Spanish compatriots, and that was fascism's make. Thanks to the historians' work and to the work of all people implied in the memory movement, we can know how this terror caused by the Francoist troops made so many people leave the city. And I also want to highlight the situation of women in this case, because they suffered double violence, because the violence against women was part of the terror planned by Capo de Llano, who just said on the radio that that it was a moment to rape women, the communist women, because they have to know what is a real man. So this was another weapon he used. We cannot allow to not take seriously this demand of taking Capo de Llano out of the Macarena Church. It is a very important, very symbolic during the Republic, we saw many women kept all these stories, and they are telling us these stories now, and thanks to them we're here today.
Also, I'd like to say that another reason why this meeting is so important, and that is because knowing the past is essential for the future to avoid the same mistakes. My generation and those that are coming behind us, we have education and culture. And this is why fascist allies know this very well. And there are many thousands of young people in this country who have not had access to the real history of their country. Repression lasted for 40 years in this country, and many others have continued it after with the democracy, and the law of silence was expanded to the textbooks. And also the saying, let's not discuss, this will make the wounds hurt again. And also having the victims live in streets that hold the names of the torturers. And, well, the previous speakers have referred to the far right. And now we see that the ultra-right, the far right, say that they prefer a dictator, bloody dictator like Franco than a democratic government. And this is of concern when we see the rise of those parties in Italy or Hungary, or when we see these people in Spain saying that, well, it doesn't really matter because when they reach the government, the state will hold their hands. Education is the best thing we can do for the youth. Like Miguel Hernandez said, this is the protection barrier for us. The songs, the work of journalists, and people fighting against fake news in the internet, and we have young people participating in all that, and they also participated in the march organized by the Injuve this year, and they are the best barrier against the rise of the far right. So thank you to you all and for your work, so that the memory, the truth and repair will be developed. Thank you very much. We will always be with you.
Bien, estamos llegando.
So we're now close to the end of this first opening session, and now we are going to proceed to the tribute to the survivors of La Desbandada and also the daughters and sons of the exile. And yes, one of the goals since the beginning of our marches was that we wanted to have with us the life history, and here to my right you have this life history, what they suffered along this death road from Malaga to Almeria. Of course, we all know their stories, but for us they must be the main characters today. There have been many events, and I always say the same thing, although the right and the far right still deny the facts. This life history cannot be denied. It is present, it is with us, it is here.
Y desgraciadamente.
Unfortunately, years have passed, many years, 85 since the massacre, since this genocide, and only a few of the survivors are still with us. There were some other survivors that were going to come, but because of health problems, won't be able to be with us today, but of course we will be thinking about them, and we would like to give them a small souvenir of this Congress and to remind them that they will always be in our hearts. So Eli is going to give this gift to Ana Pomares. Antonia Morillas will give the plaque to Manuel Triano, another survivor of la desbanda.
Juan Peña.
Juan Peña, the Vice President of the Federation of Municipalities, will give the plaque to Ani González de Aros. She's the daughter of the exile because she was born in France.
Y Heinz Bierbaum va a entregar a...
Heinz Bierbaum is going to give the plaque to Anastasia Sakos.
Ahora. Bueno, es que van a hablar. Es que ellos Manuel Triano, pásate.
Manuel Triano, would you like to address us a few words?
Buenas tardes, compañeros y compañeras. Estoy un poquillo ronco, pero bueno.
Thank you very much. I wanted to address a few words to you. I'm going to put my glasses on because I'm a bit old now. It is very difficult for me to express in words how much I am thankful for this gift that I will keep with me very proudly. I will accept it on behalf of the survivors and also on behalf of those who lost their lives, the thousands of men, women and children who died during the La Desbanda. I accept it on behalf of my parents and my siblings, and also on behalf of other parents and siblings that were victims of La Desbanda. I want to congratulate you because of the work you do to recover this crime from oblivion. I'm very proud of your commitment to the restitution of truth, memory, and repair. Thank you very much. I will continue shouting very loud and clear. Republic, go for the Third Republic. Third Republic alive.
Bueno, Eso también, está ya casi, esperemos que no tarde mucho.
So, Carmen Negrín, we're going to give her the plaque as a granddaughter of the exile. She's the president of the association Juan de Negrín, and she's the ambassador of the Research and Interpretation Center of the Spanish Republican Memory in France, with several members from French, that are French associations, and also us. This is a memory platform for French platform for the memory, to recover memory. So, Carmen.
Muchas gracias. Bueno.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm very proud of being here as a representative of exiled people. As you all know, there were all sorts of exiled people. Some suffered more than others. Being in the exile was a symbol of failure and rupture. But with time, it became a symbol of freedom in comparison to being exiled within the country. There was also the problem of oblivion, and my grandfather, he always tried to overcome this oblivion and project himself towards the future, and how to make sure that exiled people wouldn't be forgotten in Spain. I found a small document in his archives where he referred to the importance. It was a whole program of how to incorporate the Spanish history in the curriculum of universities in the US, in Mexico, and so on. Also the project of creating universities like the Spanish school that is now called the School of Mexico, because for him it was very important to make sure we would not forget, because we were living abroad, we belonged to different countries with different histories, but he wanted to make sure that we wouldn't forget Spain. I want to share with you a small personal anecdote. And I was living with him. My brother and I had a room where we had our games, and there was a piece of furniture with a drawer full of photographs by Capa, by Rota, and there was a small document, and that was by Norman de Tour. At the time, I didn't know who Norman de Tour was or where these photographs were from. But for me, that specific booklet and those pictures were the symbols of what the Spanish War was, of the first crimes against humanity. And this is something I learned, and I was like 3 or 4 years old only. And I will never forget that. Spain has always been in our hearts. I'm a mixture. A grandmother, my grandmother is Russian. My dad became Mexican, lived in France, in England. My mother is American. But Spain is always there, because Spain really changed the world. It was the beginning of the struggle against fascism. And I believe that even though our pasts have been very different, some went to concentration camps, and had to do forced labor, and that was terribly unlucky. And some others had a more privileged lives because some went to Chile or to the US, like was the wish my grandfather had. But nevertheless, Spain is always with us, and this permanent struggle is also there. And I learned how to identify when fascism is appearing. And just as a European Parliament member said, fascism is reappearing, re-emerging, and we must be vigilant. There must be also laws and education, above all, education, to make sure we do not repeat the same mistakes. And that is all I wanted to share with you today. Thank you.
Y por último, quiero decirles, bueno.
Also, I'd like to declare the first International Congress of La Desbandada open. And I really hope it will be very fruitful. Thank you.
Bueno, pues con ello damos paso ya, no inmediatamente, pero sí en media hora, pues a la primera.
Well, we will come back in 30 minutes for the opening, the keynote intervention. We have a coffee break now, and also we have the exhibition area. I wanted you to know about that, close to the reception area. And also we have the fair, the memory fair, with the stands, so that you can visit it if you want to. So the Congress is open. I hope you will enjoy it very much.
Vale. Bien, pues cuanto antes.
So we are going to, in fact, do the opening. The opening conference is going to start as soon as possible, in fact. So don't forget that there is a new agenda. There are changes in the agenda. So please take the sheets of paper with the new information. Thank you.